Welcome to the full renovation and restoration of my $7,000 ex-hoarder's house. Today we're gonna be working up in the attic and we're gonna be working upstairs. And there's a blizzard coming, so we gotta move fast. So our plan of attack for today is, notice how we have a yellow wall in here. This is closed cell spray foam insulated. And then notice in here how we have these little boards on the wall. This is called lath. Behind that lath is rock wool insulation that was blown in the 1970s. Most of it's falling down inside the wall. Actually, right here I can see a big old hole where there's no insulation. So our goal for today is to get this lath off of the wall, get everything down to the bare studs, completely gutted, and then spray foamed so it'll end up looking like this. But before we do that, we need to go up into the attic, which currently doesn't have a floor. Not only do we not have a floor, we also don't have any insulation up here in the attic whatsoever. So all of our heat downstairs is just completely dumping out the top of the house right now. It's cold up here. So we have our work cut out for us today because we want to also get this spray foam insulated. Now before we can do that, we have a little bit of lath between these floor joists below us. So we need to get this completely knocked out.
We're here at Anger Clinic and you can see our recent patient is dealing with his anger. We'll come up and tailor our treatment for specific needs that you have to deal with your anger. In our case, Cole found a good solution to deal with his anger.
I feel so much better now. As with any project, the demo part's the easy part. It only took us an hour to get the whole floor down. We have floor joists exposed now, so we can definitely get a lot better view of how the walls are built, the integrity of some of these floor joists. Found a couple in the middle. One's basically cracked almost in half. I thought Roman was gonna fall through. We're debating what route we wanna go. We did order some more wood. We're gonna be sistering stuff up beside these, but looking at some of them, they're kind of warped enough, we might just be replacing some entirely. Now that we got the fun part done, we got the not so fun part. Clean up! Look at that, we got ourselves a clean floor down below. Nice and clean, good working environment. OSHA approved?
If the nails hold, if the nails hold, it's OSHA approved.
So in this part of the attic, we have boards on the floor that run this direction. And then when we get over here, they run perpendicular to it 90 degrees. So we are gonna start on these ones over here. And we are simply going to pull one board out. We're gonna replace it with two. Pull another board out, we'll replace it with two, and we're gonna do that for all these. They're kind of twisted this way, some are twisted that way, some are bowed down, some are bowed up, and some are a combination of all three. The floor is the foundation upon which we base everything off of, so we want it to be as level as possible, and right now we definitely don't have a level floor. And I found this to be kind of interesting. Right here we have true 2x6s, so they're actually 2 inches wide, and then they're 6 inches tall, where these ones right on the other side of the beam are like 1 3/4 wide or 1.5 inches, whatever they are, and not quite 6 inches tall. So these are more of what we use today. They're not a true 2x6, and those are true 2x6s. I just realized that I misspoke. We are not going to be sistering up or doubling up the boards in this room. We're going to be doing it in the room that Roman's standing inside of. And that's because this roof line runs down right to the center of that room. So the center of that room, all those 2x6s that run across, yeah, that's holding up the whole roof and everything that's putting weight on coming down right here. Then if we look at it, it's actually leaning backwards. So this is just weird. I don't know why they would have designed this like this years ago. It seems like a bad layout. This should be a lot closer to the wall, so then the wall actually transfers the weight down to the foundation of the house, because the center of a 2x6 is the absolute weakest point of it, and that's where they have all the weight. Then the one that I'm standing right in front of, this one's not much better. So all the weight of this part of the roof that's coming down right here all sits right here. And so they have these boards, these little pieces that are just sitting with that little baby 2x4 sitting in there. And then the boards, the floor joist that actually sits on, those are just nailed in. So there's 2 nails there, there's 2 nails there, and 4 nails supporting the entire weight of this part of the roof. Just for reference sake, it should be something like this one. So we have the weight that comes down from the roof at an angle here, and then this is a wall underneath. So all that weight sits right on top of the wall. Then the wall can transfer to the wall down below, which transfers down to the walls in the basement, and then that is the foundation for everything that is being supported up here. So see how that's basically built right over the top of the wall? Yes, I understand it's leaning, but it's still at least almost on top of the wall. Look right up in that little gap right there. You can see how those roof trusses, they bow down. They do it on both sides. That side right there, and that one. And actually, it does it on all of them that are through there, but all the weight loaded right here in the center of the room. What's your honest opinion of the structural integrity of the house at this point?
It's good.
We're trying to make this little corner into its own room, and so that's what we're making this little wall here for. Then from Roman over, this will be connected, and we're going to try to connect it over in here somehow when we tear the chimney out. We're having Roman do this because we're having Roman do this because if there's a problem, we can just blame Roman. We're getting paid by the hour here, so the more we get done in an hour, the more we get paid.
Is that how it works?
I think so. That's what they told me.
Look at you go. How much longer you think?
Is it out?
The end of the day, number 25, and Cole admits that he had this sledgehammer downstairs all this time. Thanks for your help, Cole.
So the old roof line used to come down through here, and we're cutting these off, and we're building some temporary bracing right now, but our knee walls will be in here. So this is now transferring the weight of the roof down into the foundation of the house. The roof used to be sitting on these ones through here, and then they were just tacked and nailed on that end. But look when I stand on this, how much I can move that. All of the weight of the roof was sitting right there, right here. I guess I can laugh at it all I want, but it did stand here for 100 years. Well, we have a blizzard! So here's the problem. They've changed the forecast again, so now instead of 1 day of snow, they upped it to 2 days of snow, and then they've updated it to 3 days of snow. 40-mile-an-hour winds, gusting up to 45, and like 4 days. We have a high of -6 degrees, low of -14. We have no insulation upstairs whatsoever. It was probably 45 degrees up there yesterday when it was 32 degrees outside. So when it gets to -14, we're probably not going to be keeping it above freezing in the upstairs of the house with no insulation up there. We got 6 inches of snow last night. It's blowing, so we got the snowblower hooked up to the skid loader, and we're simply just gonna trudge a 3-mile path over there, and we're gonna get everything fully ready to be insulated, so that way we can get it insulated, hopefully, before that cold spell comes, because we don't want stuff freezing in the house. Turn on high flow for the snowblower. We got snow. I'm out on the road. It looks like the snowplow came through. I did plow a couple areas, and when I passed by Justin's driveway, I pushed out his snow pile so that way they won't drift later. I'm not really worried about it this morning getting over here. The wind's supposed to pick up at like noon to 40 miles an hour when we have 6 inches of snow, and that is a case for Drift City, especially anywhere where the ditch is higher than the road. It will literally just blow straight across, and you'll have it 5 feet deep. Okay, we made it over. Everything is A-okay, ready to go. What we're gonna focus on today, solely gonna be just lifting up these sheets of plywood up above, setting them on the floor like that so the insulation guys can walk around. We got Austin's help today. Roman couldn't make it here because of the snow, so we're gonna be laying those in just like so. We're not gonna be putting them down or gluing them or anything. They're just gonna be sitting there. And then we got this felt paper stuff, and we're gonna be taking that and mounting it on the back side of these 2x4s, because this is the outside of the house, this is the inside of the house. We'll put the backing right here, and then they'll have something they can spray foam insulate on, and then that way this will be able to be sealed off. We'd either have to use wood, paper, plastic. Felt paper seems like something that's gonna stick good, so we're gonna use. The cool thing about spray foam insulation is once you spray it in, it's hard. Like right here we have some that's spanning between the floor joists. That's solid. So the felt paper is simply just gonna be there for a surface for it to adhere to until it hardens, and then once it hardens, then the felt paper is really not doing anything. So this is the plan, and it is our only goal for today. We want to beat the cold, and it's supposed to be 40-mile-an-hour winds all day today, so if we don't have to be here all day, great. Okay, we now have flooring down. This is not permanent. This is just sitting here simply covering up holes so the installation guys can walk. So Justin and Austin are gonna be walking around now. They're gonna be testing all these wires to see if any of them are still alive. If they're not, they're gonna be cutting them out. We need to get rid of every bit of anything that is on these walls. So I got a bird's nest there. I got a really big bird's nest over here. I'm gonna get those pulled down. Looks like I got another one right there. Then we have to put a board up right here for us to be able to hang our sheetrock on, because once they have it spray foamed, then we'll have to come in here with a chisel and basically scrape all that off. So we're gonna do that ahead of that. I got some more holes up here that I need to finish sealing way up high. And we still need to get our covering put on the bottom. Underneath it here, we have the wall. This is straight down as the wall. Everything on the back side of these 2x4s is outside of the house. Inside is inside of the house. We're gonna be running that felt paper right here, tacking it to the back side. They'll come in, they'll spray foam through here. Back side will be outside the house. Inside will be inside the house. That way we want insulated. I think we're ready for spray foam. Our felt paper backer went in really nice. So now they'll just come in here, they'll just spray. It'll basically fill this entire cavity all the way up, and then they'll spray out of the rough, and then this will come down here, and then it'll just kind of meet in the middle. So the whole ceiling all the way to the peak is going to be completely insulated. So before, this was a cold space where we had insulation underneath of the floor, and then it was cold up here and hot during the summertime. Now we're gonna have insulation all the way up to the peak of the house. We're not gonna have insulation underneath of our feet, well, at least for heating purposes. We'll stick some in there so it's quieter, so when we're walking around up here, you don't hear it in the rooms below. But this is gonna be a game changer, because now we're gonna be able to have a living space up here, and then we're gonna be building all this out. We have designs, we have some stuff figured out for how we're gonna be rebuilding these walls. Just getting everything out of here that we got out so far, it already smells completely different. It smelled like rotten bird poop in a barn before, and now it smells like a construction zone. We ran just a little short on some felt paper right here, so Justin's gonna bring some out in the morning, and then we need another can of spray foam. We have some spray foam insulation we put in there. We gotta go all the way up to the peak yet, and then down to about right there. That window's actually already been completely done, but these ones, since we had the open floor joist before we put this plywood down, we couldn't get up there. So if you look up there, you can see light coming in from outside. So we want to make sure we get those with this little spray can first, because when the guy comes with the big sprayer, it shoots pretty far. If you got a little gap, sometimes it can shoot outside. Then if it gets on the white trim of the house, then it's extremely noticeable because the spray foam turns yellow once UV rays have been hitting it. Then we also got these 2x4s on now, so that way, oh wow, you can feel a lot of air coming in there right now. The wind is absolutely whipping out there. It's hard to tell, but it's like 30 miles an hour. But we got our 2x4s on here, so when they get in here and spray foam and half cover these things, we'll still have a nice surface where we'll be able to mount our sheetrock to it. We're bird nest free. We got all the wires down. We got all the old electrical insulators down. All the tools are cleaned up out of here. So now I guess we just wait for the spray foam guys to get here. They're supposed to be here in the morning. I was just walking back up to shut that light off, and I looked over at the floor. Look how much warp is in that thing. It's just a big old bowl right there. So that's why we're replacing the boards underneath, because they're sagged out. I don't know if they were bent when they put them in or if they're just holding load funny or what. But look at that. You can see right there in the middle, it's a bowl. You'd have a 3-inch deep puddle if you filled it out with water. Then you look down below, and it looks absolutely fine. Actually, no, it doesn't. You can see it doing that. I'm not an engineer, but this makes sense in my mind. We have warp in this ceiling because this wall is supposed to be load bearing, but when we grab it, we can literally wiggle it, so there's nothing sitting on this wall. And then below that is also supposed to be a load bearing wall. But what's funny about that is this is the wall we just wiggled, so right above, right up there, we just wiggled that fixture. This wall literally sits right in the middle of a room. So there is no wall under this that actually connects down to the frame. So then we have to look at the wall that was over here that has the bathroom pipe going into it. There should be a nice big thick, like 2 boards set right up in there that would take the weight going down to the outside wall, and then they would distribute it through this big old plank going down to the wall that would come down inside of here, so that way it transfers everything down to the foundation. Well, here's the thing. You look on top of that hutch, there is nothing. Nothing at all. And I guess there's a 2x4. And not only that, this is basically 2 different walls because this venting pipe, look at that, they literally just split the plate right there. So this is its own wall right here, and then that is its own wall. It's not even tied together. Look at that pipe. They just cut the board right there in the middle. So that ceiling up there is sagging because this wall has dropped over time. And I would also imagine that this wall has dropped over time, and we got to look at the ceiling up in the attic to see if that's divoted, which I am willing to bet that it is. So the good news is we're going to be coming in and fixing all this stuff and actually supporting things the way that they're supposed to be supported. It's just amazing that the house has held up as well as it has. Like, you figured the walls and stuff would be super cracked out by as much as things are shifted and bowed inside, but they're not. So I guess that's a good thing. And we're just hoping everything stays good now while we're in here fixing it. And then once it's fixed, it'll be good. When they built this house, they definitely had a touch for style when it came to the woodwork in here, but when it came to actually putting things together, we found some pretty hodgepodge stuff. And now, this would have been back in 1917 when they would have built this, so information would not have been readily available, so you would have only been as good as the most experienced person in your crew, and if the most experienced person in your crew basically says, is good enough, it's gonna hold. You know, the code book was a lot different back then. It probably didn't even exist. But the house has been here for over 100 years now, and it's been through a tornado and a over 100-mile-per-hour derecho, and it's still standing, so I guess we can say it's hodgepodge as it is. it worked. The insulation guys are supposed to be here in just a little bit. We have a big snowdrift where they need to park. I got the snowblower on. I'm gonna try to do a little bit of the main drive here. I just have to be careful. The ground's not frozen underneath. We laid fresh rock, so we're just throwing out 3-inch chunks of rock. We dig a little too deep. So I'm gonna have to leave it a little fluffy. It should be good enough for them to get in.
I thought you were waving at me.
Oh. Oh no!
Cole is back.
The insulation guys were supposed to be here an hour and a half ago. They're still waiting on a shipment of new insulation to come in due to the blizzard. That got postponed because it was actually supposed to be here yesterday. So we have everything in the attic completely ready to go. When they get here, they'll be able to get started. In the meantime, we're gonna be going along on all these open studs. We're gonna be pulling all the nails that are still sticking out of them. And then Justin's cutting open door frames. We're gonna be getting rid of these walls at some point. So we're just kind of getting things prepped ahead of time so the doors don't need to be in there. And honestly, it makes it a lot easier to walk through if you don't have the door in the way. The insulation guys called and they said that the trucking place that is supposed to be bringing them the product cannot make it today. They're a full day behind because of the blizzard. So the insulation guys themselves went to go get the product. So they're actually going to be coming tomorrow now. We were going to mess with the floor joists up here. We just have plywood laying up there right now, so we can move things off super easy and get to this. But after some further investigations, we've discovered we have some other problems that we have to address first. Before we can mess with these floorboards up here, we need to figure out our wall situation so that way we have things properly supported. So all the weight up there is supported on the walls the way they're supposed to. Looking at this wall, we have absolutely nothing underneath of it. So this is not something we want to bear weight on. So we're simply going to be taking this wall out and bringing it over to this one. This wall actually runs down into the basement, so the weight fully transfers down into the concrete walls. This brings us to the second issue we're running into, which isn't really an issue, it's more of a design issue. How are we gonna lay this out? The wall is gonna go out to here now. So from here over, this is going to be the world's largest closet and bathroom. And so now we're just kind of at a design thing of, hey, we have this gargantuan bathroom. Do we want 80 square feet of dead space in this bathroom, or do we want to try to design things a little bit differently and maybe be able to have a different layout to the room? So we're kind of scratching our heads there a little bit. We're also extremely limited on where our plumbing can go out down here and where our water and electricity can come in. So we definitely have our work cut out for us. I have a couple advisors that I'm going to get a hold to that are professionals in those space, and then they can come out and make sure that we're on the right path. They are not going to be able to make it out today though, so we are simply just trying to declutter the space as much as we can, open things up, really see what we're working with. It's amazing what just getting a little bit of lath down or just a little bit of stuff picked up off the floor does for your mental clarity. The next thing we need to do in this room to open it up more, we used to have the old closet right here, and we don't need that closet anymore because this is all going to be coming down. This is a load-bearing wall for the attic right now, and those doors on the other side is load-bearing wall, so we do not need this anymore. So we're just going to try to keep taking out what we can. with a specific set of plans of what we wanted to get done, which was the insulation, but the blizzard threw a wrench in that. So then we decided just to prep everything down here. We got all that done and we were looking for stuff to do. So we decided we were just gonna rip this entire wall out right here because this wall is gonna be coming out anyway. It's gonna be built over here. And then while we were doing that, we decided, you know what? We might as well tear this wall out because this wall is not gonna be here either. It's gonna be built over to there. And then we tore the old bathroom floor out. That has chicken wire underneath it. Under the radiator still has some. Not fun to pull apart. We'll have to get a chisel and a hammer in there later to rip all that up. We do still have the, I don't even know what you would call that. It looks like concrete, what they had underneath the tile. We need to get that out yet. And then while we were in the construction mode, we also decided there was a little closet here and we poured this out. We are going to have a utility closet here, and this utility closet is going to work out really well because we're actually going to run our sub panel into it for electricity. So then when we want to wire up these rooms, we'll have all the electricity on this floor running to that sub panel. So it'll be nice, easy, just running it up, over, boom, we want to run it into this bathroom, we want to run it into the bedroom. That way we're not having to run through like 4 different walls and 125 feet away over to the main panel. Just makes it a lot easier that way. Then also, if we blow a breaker, then we're not having to walk way down there, flipping it to come back. You just have it right here. The way our electricity is currently hooked up on the house is through the old supply. So however it was put in however many years ago. So we have just old twisted fuses in the basement that are super sketchy. So we are going to put in a whole new service coming into the house. That's going to be when we put the new addition on the other side of the house. And we're not doing that until we get this part of the house done. So we need to get temporary electricity up to the sub panel. So I am going to have the electrician come out and see if he can help me run fresh juice coming from where we have juice coming into the basement now up to the sub panel. So that'll be all modern electricity. Then we'll have everything wired up here the way that it's supposed to be. I've been doing my wiring studying because, well, you're looking at the main electrician here, and then we'll just come in and inspect my work to make sure we do everything right. Of course, after Roman inspects it too.
Yes, absolutely.
You're certified, right?
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to moving walls, we cannot just move any wall we want to. At least we can't move it without rebuilding something to hold it up. So this would be a prime example. Think of Jenga. This is my Jenga, but it's made with dominoes. If I knock out one of these center blocks, it does nothing to the tower. It will not fall over as long as I don't hit the things above it, but it's still standing. I can just keep pushing them out, and it's not affecting the structural integrity of the structure whatsoever. This would be a non-load bearing wall. And now if I try to grab one of these outside ones that the weight is actually sitting on, that would be a load bearing wall. So we don't want to just move a load bearing wall. Now if we build something, let's say we put something in, and then we take out said load bearing wall, then it still stands because we put something in to replace it to still hold it up. So when we're messing with the load-bearing walls, we're going to be replacing it with other things to make sure that the wall is standing structurally like it's supposed to. But when it comes to the walls that are not load-bearing, we can take them out. It's not going to hurt anything. Now we wait. Hopefully the insulation guys were able to get their product. They'll be here in the morning, and then we will finally get the insulation up in the attic, which we're going to need it because in 3 days they're talking a high of -5. Well, looks like we got a little bit more snow last night, but otherwise, absolutely beautiful out this morning. Today is insulation day, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, at least we made it this far without getting stuck.
Oh, you got stuck! Oh no!
We made it here at least.
So here I got the insulation, guys. They have the insulation in those big 55-gallon barrels. They have it hooked up to some sort of pump motor thing inside of there. I don't know what's all going on inside. There's a lot. Then they got their giant insulation hose. They'll simply just run it up through the window, up into the attic, and then they'll just start spraying it kind of like they're painting with a spray painter. Here we go. Take one last, final, long, hard look, because this is never going to look the same after today. We're gonna let the insulation guys be up here and get their thing done. We are not gonna be up here while they're spraying. Number one, they have a special mask on for the stuff that they're spraying because you don't wanna be breathing that stuff in. And then number two, anything that spray foam comes in contact with, you absolutely cannot get it off. I got some on my hand a couple days ago, just from the little can spray, and I absolutely cannot get that off no matter how much scrubbing that I do. Once my skin falls off, I guess that will fall off. So we don't want that in our lungs, we don't want that in our eyes, and we don't want that on our cameras because it'll ruin them. So we will be back once they have everything completely spray foamed. Moment of truth. Spray foam guys just left about 15 minutes ago. They might have, yeah, it doesn't look like they got done yet. I think they ran out of spray. But, holy cow, already feels bigger.
Yeah, and it feels...
Lightening it up. We have closed cell spray foam in the main heated shop, the heated shop at my house, the dryer shack, Dad's attic, and now here. We put it in the main heated shop first. We loved it so much. We have done everything after that with it. The stuff is 100% airtight, so they get every little crack and crevice in here, so nothing is getting through this. And what's really cool about this stuff is it's solid, so it actually makes our building stronger. Depending on the study, some say it can make a building up to 300% stronger from like a shearing side-to-side strength, which I'm okay with, especially as sketchy as some of this stuff was built in the past. This is definitely not going to do anything to hurt the structural integrity of the house. While this will hands down be the coolest room in the house, there are the coolest parts of the coolest room, which my favorite area is what I call the great area. We have a 12-foot tall ceiling in the middle. It's 20 feet wide. We have the ginormous half-moon windows on both ends, so the lighting is absolutely beautiful. Just think sitting in here on a day where we have a blizzard, got hot cocoa in one hand, I got a book with my singular chair that I'm just gonna have in the middle of the attic. Big old attic, one piece of furniture, minimalism to the max. I'm kidding about that. We have design plans for up here, but blizzard day, that would be cool, you gotta admit. Our windows have been pooped on for a long time by the birds, so they definitely need cleaned, and we have this plastic sheeting over it right now because of the spray foam. But our view from up here, you can see for like 5 miles. We're 32 feet off the ground right here. So we have an incredible view. And we have triple the views up here because we have that window, which overlooks the Grove, and then we have that window. Now this side does not have a window on it, and while I was cleaning out the house, I found a newspaper article from 1977. A tornado actually came in and ripped this entire part of the roof off. So I don't know if there used to be something here back in the day, and then when they rebuilt it, they just did not put it back in. But that's why we have a different plywood sheeting underneath, because this was ripped off by a tornado and replaced in 1977. We are going to be running heating and air conditioning up here. Now the air conditioning is going to be an important thing because we do not have any venting in the attic anymore because we blocked everything off with the closed cell spray foam insulation. So we want to make sure we have good air conditioning up here to cycle the air and make sure we don't get a moisture buildup, because if we get too much of a moisture buildup, that could cause problems. But with the air conditioning, that'll solve all that. We are going to be renovating this space some more. We're going to be moving some of these walls to come down where the old roof used to come down, and then we are going to be putting in full electrical up here. We are not going to be doing any plumbing in the attic though. We don't need a bathroom up here. We don't need a sink. That's all going to be for the floor below us. The chimney is going to be coming out. We're going to wait till it's springtime or summertime before we get to that though, because we'll have to seal up the hole that's in the roof, and then we'll have to do some re-roofing up there. I would like to utilize this super high spot in some way, or have it go into the room. We have a 15, 16 foot tall ceiling right here, and I think that'd be absolutely beautiful just having a super high peak in here. I just don't know how we're going to design it yet. We have a lot to figure out with these walls. We do have a designer that's supposed to be helping us kind of get some things figured out, and honestly Roman has thrown out a ton of good ideas. So I think between all of us, we're going to be able to come up with something extremely cool. But I really like this tall ceiling spot. All these tall ceilings, the high points. Like, I don't want to put in a flat ceiling in here. I want to be able to show the beauty and the size of the attic. Let's open it up. One of the challenges with renovating a house from the early 1900s is you don't know what you have behind the walls until you get things opened up. So we had plans of what we wanted to do before we had anything pulled apart. And then now that we're starting to get things exposed, we see things that are bent, cracked, broken, warped, all funny. And so now we have unanticipated stuff that we have to rebuild, or maybe something is carrying a load or weight of the roof in a way that we didn't expect. And so our plans are constantly changing as we're going along because of that. So it's one of the challenges of this project, but it's also one of the fun things because it gets us thinking, and then we get extremely creative with it. So we truly have a unique, one-of-a-kind project.
Tell them the truth, and then they would start fighting over our ideas.
As per usual, when people start a project here, it doesn't seem like it always goes to plan. This area was a lot bigger than the spray foam guys anticipated it to be, so they actually ran out of product. So we just have a little bit of roof left to get foamed up. It's all white and pretty up here right now, but once the spray foam is subject to the UV light, it'll turn to this. This used to be inside of a closet, so it's kind of an off yellow. And then once it gets into full sunlight, it'll start to turn like this. We might get it covered before it gets to that point, but it doesn't hurt anything if it's like this. But the yellow stuff and the white stuff, it's the exact same thing. They're both closed cell spray foam insulation.
Last thing we gotta do is throw all this trash out into the dump truck that just got a new starter. I've always thought that a clean construction site was an organized construction site, so I'm trying to help keep clean as much as I can at the end of the day. Just pick up our little mess that when we start in the morning, we have a nice fresh start. We got an incredible amount of work done today. I'm extremely grateful to get the attic insulated, even though we have just a little bit left. The negative temperatures are coming, and they're talking another 10 inches of snow with 40-mile-an-hour winds, so we're looking at another blizzard coming in. So I am extremely grateful that the insulation guys were able to come out today and get everything sealed up. It already feels so much warmer up here already. I cannot believe the transformation just a little bit of spray foam did. I think this is a pretty good stopping point for it today. I'm pretty tuckered out. I'm gonna go get a bite to eat and get some sleep. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.